Good morning, CLC. I invite you to just relax in this moment. Put your day and your week aside. And if you feel so inclined, just take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Breathing in cool, calming air. And as you breathe out all stress and tension, all anxiety and worries. Just let them go for now. Let go of anything and everything that no longer serves you. Take another nice deep breath and allow your body to relax in this moment and allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. And gratefully speak these words: I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways, someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you today. So somebody asked me one time, around this time of year, if I believed in werewolves. And I don't think they were asking me personally, but like speaking on behalf of the organization, speaking on behalf of the entire Centers for Spiritual Living family, or whatever it was called at that time. I believe the werewolves. And I gave an inconclusive answer because I have to believe in them to the extent that they exist in the human imagination. You see, just the fact that I knew what they were talking about indicates that there's some commonality there to this, because it coming up, Halloween time and all, it's that we don't have it. But if they do exist as actual corporeal beings, there's a science back of it. They're like a lost tribe or something. They're an undiscovered nature. And so this is what I want to talk about today, is undiscovered nature. Not werewolves so much, but undiscovered nature, because there's plenty of it out there. And the main thing is, as I say, a werewolf or something like that, if it exists in a scientifically verifiable way. The same is true, by the way, of things like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot, Sasquatch, If they find this, there'll be a biology to it. It'll be natural, because there is no supernatural. There is no supernatural. We want there to be a supernatural so bad. We want there to be something out there that's all weird and different and stuff. And there is. There's plenty of stuff out there that's weird and different, and plenty of stuff that we haven't encountered yet, but not one iota of it is supernatural. Why is that? Because what this organization does teach, and I do believe and stand for, is that there's one life, and that life is a spiritual life, and that life is all the life there is. And that life contains absolutely everything that exists, including the strange and undiscovered stuff that we have yet to run across. A while back, they were doing studies in the Mariana Trench, in the deepest part of the world's oceans, and they were finding things that were living down there. They finally developed the technology where they could get down and photograph some of this stuff that had never seen light, nowhere near. I mean, hundreds, thousands of feet below where the light perimeter ends. They captured pictures of these amazing looking, fish. I mean, what else are you going to call them? Fish-like beings, that live down there. And now they're trying to figure out, well, are they related to this? Are they related? How did they come to evolve in the way that they did? Are they closer to the protozoa that lived at the floor of the oceans when the Earth first cooled and formed oceans? They don't know, But the people who studied, I think they're called ichthyologists. Isn't that a great word? Ichthyologists, fish studying people. The fish studying people are busy studying these fish, and that's great. And but what they're discovering is that they fit. They fit into the big picture. When they find a new bird, when they find a new tree, a new shrub or something out in nature, it fits into the big picture. And now that we're scooping stuff up on Mars, we're finding it doesn't really have that much of a connection to the Earth's shield and mantle and form, but it comes from the same star stuff when the solar system was formed. The same elements are present there. They've not found new elements. They found the existence of present elements as we have them on Earth. And if you went farther than that, you went out into the next Andromeda or something, you went out into the next galaxy and the galaxy beyond that, who knows what you'd find? But it would be part of the one life. Part of the one life. Now I'm speaking here macrocosmically, all right? So we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're talking life, fish, birds, werewolves, what have you. And then we're like going to Mars, and Andromeda and all. Well, the same principle holds true in the microcosmic. Coming back, that is, the other direction. Coming back to you as the self, breaking you down into cells, well, organs first, and bones and tissue and muscle and sinew and so forth, and from there to cells, and from cells to molecules, and molecules to atoms, and atoms to subatomic particles, and so on. But there's one place we typically don't look. So we measure out in a long way, measure down in this way into the particulars, one place we don't look, which is to why. Why? And that's the undiscovered realm of human psychology, spiritual psychology, the sense of the self. Why do we need there to be a supernatural? You know why? Because we're bored with what's here. We're bored with the natural. I got a meme a while back from a friend. It says, life is about more than paying bills until you die. Sort of got my, and it was, the words were said on this beautiful mountainous landscape, but that really kind of pulls you up short. Life is about more than paying bills until you die, but for a lot of us, this seems to be where we are. It's, I go to work, I come home from work, to get ready to go to work, to eventually have a vacation where I think about work, recover from work, go back to work and stuff, and I do this for 40 plus years, and then, and then something else comes where I get to sit and, I don't know, whittle, sit on a front porch and whittle, or take up a hobby, collect stamps or do something. And it's like, is this all there is? We get so bored. We get bored with the repetition even of the year. We say, oh, it's a birthday, it's an anniversary, it's a holiday, it's this, and it's like, again, and here's what we do. It's one, I gotta tell you, it's one of the things I really enjoy about these shows that we put on here at Creative Life, because I never see the cast and the producers kind of trudge through it. It's one of the things I really enjoy about Sunday mornings with you, because these people who've been working here the whole time through the pandemic when we were closed and everything else, they don't come. You don't see Lisa and Danielle, Jeffrey and Marion and Dave. Well, David kind of trudges, but you don't see most of them. You don't see them trudge in here in another day of Creative Life. They're excited to do this. They're excited to see you. You know where they find that excitement? Within themselves. Within themselves. And so they're not having to look for a nature beyond who they are. They're not having to look for something other, a context greater than that which they already possessed as the spiritual beings they are. So that's basically the whole message today, is that there is no supernatural, so you're good to go. And you don't have to worry about stuff coming in from some other nature to mess with you. There's no devil, there's no Satan, there's nothing out there, there's no demons, none of this kind of stuff that's trying to mess with you. You know what there is that looks like that shows up like that? Unhealed human issues. Unhealed human issues. Unhealed human psychology. If I'm filled with resentment, if I'm filled with anger, and you know what's even worse than resentment? And I've thought a lot about this and had some conversations with some people who pointed this out, that they were feeling the same way, and so I'll say it as kind of an absolute, though you may disagree. What's even worse than resentment is regret. Because when you resent stuff, you blame somebody else. You know, you blame somebody else. You get to be righteously indignant about it. Well, I resent that this person got more than I did out of life. But when you regret, there's nowhere to turn. There's nowhere to hide. It's all carried within the self. And so we live in, you know, even the Pope came out, not this Pope, but 2 popes ago, came out and said that heaven is a state of mind. Previously, he had said that hell was a state of mind. It was about 15 years, I think, between the 2 pronouncements, that it's a state of consciousness. You can walk around in a hellish state of consciousness, you can walk around in a heavenly state of consciousness. Or you can walk around in a state of consciousness, most people walk around in where you vacillate between the 2. And you have good days and bad days and all of this, but it trends upward. Ernest Holmes said that what we're demonstrating today or tomorrow is not nearly as important as the general tendency that our thought is taking, because the general tendency our thought is taking is the general tendency our whole life is taking. So we're trending upward in terms of feeling better about ourselves, doing the right thing by each other. And when we do that, it feels like a heavenly estate. And people are waving at each other, out driving, you know, not gesturing angrily, but go ahead, please, go. No, go ahead. People are holding doors for each other. People are being kind in the small ways. People are giving each other, cutting each other a break. You know, they're having a higher and better thought about one another in that heavenly experience. And they're able to do this because they have gotten beyond whatever it was that was tying them down to resentment and regret, the spiritual nature. So where do we find the spiritual psychology? I'm going to read some stuff to you here in a minute from an amazing writer. But first, I'll tee it up for you like this with a little story that I shared in one of the classes online recently. I don't know that I've said this in the room, this little story. If I have, well, you can be bored and then look for the supernatural. No, it's not that long a story, and I think you'll like it, and it's sort of a generic kind of story. And it goes like this, that people imagine, let's say, how nature works through water, how the water of the earth works. And there's an ocean. Let's say you have rivers that run to the ocean, you know. Well, one day, somebody is out there in the woods, in a meadow, in a desert even, and they have this yearning to know. They're faced with an existential challenge. They have this yearning to know who they are and why they are. And they can't go a step further without answers. And there opens at their feet a hole, a space in the ground, wide enough, expanding like a well, like a large hollowed out well. And they realize that what they seek is down there. Look around, you know, and they turn around and they start to climb down the side of the well. And it's dark, and they're in this kind of silo space, you know. And as they descend, they smell water, and they hear water. They hear the movement of water, and they come to an underground stream. And in that underground stream, they find their answers. They also find their ancestors. They find a continuity. They find that their life is a chapter in a story, and that story is a piece of a larger work, which itself is part of a larger work, and so on. And they realize a context in which to hold their lives. That I am more than I seem. I'm more than my body. I'm more than my emotions. I'm more than my desires, more than my goals, more than anything. In fact, if I took all of that stuff and put it out there in front of me, like on a table, like on this platform here, everything that I think I am, and I put it out there, there'd still be some part of me regarding it. Still be some part of me seeing it that was not counted in the inventory of the stuff that I think I am. And this is the awareness that they have in the underground stream. And then the underground stream, they follow the stream, and the stream broadens out, and it leads out into the ocean, as all streams ultimately do. And it leads out into the ocean of existence, pure existence, where they swim like otters for a while, this individual. They bathe and they frolic, you know. And then well, it's time to come back to ordinary reality, and they return from the ocean state back into the stream and make their way, paddling I suppose, make their way up the stream, and they come back to the well that exists vertically over them, and they climb up their way out of the well, and they come back into the world. This is a heroic journey. This is a quest. It's another model of that, okay? Well, they come back up the well into ordinary reality, into the landscape that they left, which is more or less like they left it, except, wait, it's different somehow. It's like it's got a different tone to it, a different shade, a different color, a different texture, a different flavor, a different something. And every time they try to nail it down and say, well, it's because of this, it changes a little. And it's not because of that, it's because of something else. And they can't quite see what it is, but they know that they're changed, and the people that they encounter know that they're changed. And say, what have you been up to? You've only been gone a few minutes, but you're you're different than you were. So, I don't know. But to mark the spot where this transformative experience occurred, as they come up out the mouth of the well, they place a stone, is how the story goes. And off they go into the rest of their life, presumably as something of a mystic, as a spiritual force in their community, in their tribe. When somebody else comes along with the same issues, seeking the same answers, and sees a rock by the opening of something and says, I have to know, and I have to know that I know, and so I'm going to go down that well. And they go down the well, and they have a similar experience to what the first person had. And they, when having visited the ocean, come back through the underground stream and back up the well, they find a stone, and they place it next to the other stone. And this keeps happening until all the stones pile up. And eventually the stones form a cathedral. Okay? Takes a while, but good stories do. And today the cathedral stands, and people file into the cathedral, and they sit there and they think, if only I had the answers. And right beneath where they sit, there's this well. And every now and then somebody rolls back the rug or what have you, and they find it, and they go, and they come back, and they're changed. They come back, and they're different. Now, Clarissa Pinkola Estés tells versions of this story, and she uses the example of the river beneath the river. Clarissa Pinkola Estés is a profoundly wonderful Jungian teacher, Jungian writer. Her best-known book is called Women Who Run with the Wolves. Not the werewolves. The wolf wolves. 153, I think it was, consecutive weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. Over 2 million copies of this sold. You know what? And this is a difficult book. This is she writes like the wind. I mean, she writes beautifully and understandably. I don't mean that she puts words together in an incomprehensible way. I mean that every sentence makes you think, makes you sit and think. And so it's, as you see, a large book, and it takes you a while to get through it. And why I bring her up is because I want to encourage you to look into her work, and also Jean Shinoda Bolen and any of the any of the Jungian writers who bridge into new thought, because what they're talking about is like archetypal energies. They're talking about profound states of consciousness that exist within us, that we have far more connection to the creative energies of the universe than we had ever thought. Much of her work is directed at women and also at trauma survivors. Yet it is applicable by anyone, anywhere. I first encountered this book 30 years ago when it came out, and it, you know, out of respect, Women Who Run with the Wolves said, well, this isn't for me, you know, it's out of respect. And then I started reading it. I said, well, yeah, it is for everybody. It is for everybody. She's writing about women as we understand women, and also she's writing about the subconscious. And the subconscious is gender beyond gender. It exists within the framework of absolutely everything. So she says you look for your creative capacity, where you find it, and you discover that you're so much more than you thought you were. So let me share with you some thoughts from her and see what you think. This is from chapter 10. It's called Nourishing the Creative Life. Clear water, nourishing the creative life. Some say the creative life is in ideas, some say it is in doing. It seems in most instances to be in a simple being or beingness, you know. She says it is not virtuosity, although that is very fine in itself. It is the love of something, having so much love for something, whether a person, a word, an image, an idea, the land, or humanity, that all can be done with the overflow is to create. It is not a matter of wanting to, not a singular act of will. One solely must. One solely must. We must always create. We think it's an optional thing. We think it's like somebody says, well, I'm going to take up painting. This suggests to us that they have lots of leisure time, probably a little extra money, you know, and it's a hobby. And they're going to take this. That's not what she's talking about. It's like a side gig, you know, a side hustle or that. She's saying you must create. Redefine the forms of creation. I know that I'm guilty of, when I speak of this often, I talk about writing and painting and music and poetry and dance and sculpture and you know, basically fine arts or performing arts. But look, everything is an art. Everything is an act of creativity. Whatever it is you do. How you walk across a room is an act of creativity. How you cook a meal, how you raise a child, it's all an act of creativity. How you do the simplest things up to the most complex. It can all be done with like a flourish, you know? It can be done with a sense of full engagement to create, and to create a little more outside of the framework of what you've created already, where it's not simply duplication, where it's not just mass production. You know, I think about like cars, okay? So every year they come out with a new model of various cars. And it looks pretty much like last year's model. And last year's model looks pretty much like the model before. Every now and then, yeah, they'll get a little profound with it. But where you see the real interesting stuff is in the experimental cars, the beta-tested cars, the cars of the future, the cars that look like something the Jetsons might ride around in, that are not in production. They may have made one, you know, but they're not ready for sale. And it has no particular use except to keep people kind of drawn to the brand. When you see this experimental car, you think, I'm going to need to look back in on that company in a few years when they might come up with this. Well, you and I are busy creating a lot of reproducible stuff, let's say. No sooner do you finish a load of laundry than another pile starts to grow, right? No sooner do you cook one meal, clean up put away everything, then it's time to eat again. You raise your children, they grow into grown-ups, they go out. You may not keep doing that, you know, but maybe they're going to have kids, and you get to raise those kids somewhat, you know, and they'll have kids, and you'll have grandchildren and great-grandchildren, you know. Whatever it is you're doing tends to be a repetitious cycle to it until you break into that experience with profound creativity, something outside the box. Try something you've not done before. In our Heartfelt Living classes, we have a workshop, and we will get back to having Heartfelt Living classes here at some point, but we have a workshop that we do, and a project is called for. In fact, in a lot of our classes, we ask for a project from the students, something written or something musical, or, well, we've had all kinds of amazing things. We've had people cook food for us. We had somebody, he knows who he is, he's probably watching, who made a stew for the class, and each of the ingredients in the stew represented one of the students and me. I was the bay leaf. Spicy, inedible, you know. Other people got to be the potato, the turnip. Anyway, we've had people make clothing, make quilts, all sorts of amazing things. And what we ask is, it's not a hard and fast rule. We don't have a lot of those. But what we ask is, do something you're not good at. Okay? So if Mary Radspinner takes Heartfelt Living, which actually she did, we're like, Mary, don't play the harp. We love your harp playing, but you're good at it, and we know you're good at it. Do cartwheels. Make a stew. Do something different to break out. And especially, if you want to really go for the gold, do something not only you're not good at, but that you have been repeatedly told you're not good at. And stand out there and deliver. People say, ooh, your singing hurts my ears. Well, get ready to have your ears hurt, because I'm going to sing. I'm going to play the trombone. I'm going to do this thing that I've been told, because so many of us have been told you're not good at that. You're not good at that. I was reading about somebody, I forget who it was now. Haim, H-A-I-M, musicians. They had a thing, I saw this just this morning, they had a thing about the greatest musical performances on Saturday Night Live over all these years. And it's a singing group called Haim. I think it's 3 women. One of these women, when she was like 10, in school, was told, you will never be on Saturday Night Live. Isn't that great? They were trying to say, you know, they were being snotty. They were being sarcastic. Do you think I sing well? Well, you'll never be on Saturday Night Live, you know, right? This is probably the tone it was delivered in, like, come on. And there she is on that program. I love that kind of story. I love it. Who do you think you're talking to? Who do you think you're talking to? Because I am, this woman would say within herself, and did in some way or other, I am the experience that the goddess is having in this world at this time by means of me. Now, did she know that this was the course her life was going to, well, you'd have to ask her. And I'm sure there's a whole long story to it about how all of this came to be, but I just love that sort of thing. So this is about breaking out of the structures that have limited us. All of us. And She says the creative force flows over the terrain of our psyches looking for the natural hollows, the arroyos. That's like a gully, dry gully. The channels that exist in us. We become its tributaries, its basins. We are its pools, ponds, streams, and sanctuaries. The wild creative force flows into whatever beds we have, those we are born with as well as those we dig with our own hands, like a garden bed. We don't have to fill them, we only have to build them. In archetypal lore, there is the idea that if one prepares a special psychic place, the being, the creative force, the soul source, will hear of it, sense its way to it, and inhabit that place. She says, whether this force is summoned by the biblical go forward and prepare a place for the soul, or as in the film Field of Dreams, in which a farmer hears a voice urging him to build a baseball diamond for the spirits of the players. If you build it, they will come. Actually, it's if you build it, he will come, meaning Shoeless Joe. Preparing a befitting place induces the great creative force to advance. Once that great underground river finds its estuaries and branches in our psyches, our creative lives fill and empty, rise and fall in seasons, just like a wild river. These cycles cause things to be made, fed, fall back, and die away, all in their own right time, and over again. So once that great underground river finds its estuaries and branches in our psyches, and she will speak later in the book about how we pollute, we dam up, D-A-M, we dam up the flow, block the flow, impede the flow, so many different ways, so that our work, she would say as a psychologist, is to clean up and dismantle that which stands in the way of this easy flow of the creative power through us. And the best way that I know how to do that, and there are a million different ways. I mean, you can approach it from a dietary standpoint. You can approach it from a kind of a moral, ethical standpoint. All of these fit. You can decide to be a green person and drive an electric car and take good care of the earth as best you can, reduce your carbon footprint and so on. Where I come into this, or this teaching through me comes into this, is to say all of that is absolutely wonderful. And to that I see the framing context of being, there is one life. When there's one life, my taking care of some other part of it is not about just me or what I'm getting out of that. And it's not even about that, you know, if I'm helping you, it's there, how do I put this? There is no you in the helping moment. There is no us and them. There's just this one life, this one experience that we're having. Emerson talked about this when he said, back of each of us when we are in conversation, Jove nods to Jove. That is to say, the deity within me, behind me, giving me context, communicates effectively and flawlessly with the deity within you. Then where do our troubles go? Then where do our resentments and regrets go? Everything just begins to fall away. And there is this clarity. And I'll read you one more piece from her and then we'll close. She is, by the way, a mestiza Latina, which is a Hispanic indigenous descent. And I chose her partly because of her, 80% because of her brilliance, and 20% for now because it is Hispanic Heritage Month. So I encourage you to look her up. She's in her 70s. She lives in Colorado. In fact, she is the state, I think like the state philosopher laureate of Colorado. Clearly, creativity emanates from something that rises, rolls, surges, and spills into us, rather than from something that just stands there hoping that we might, however circuitously, find our way to it. In that sense, we can never lose our creativity. It is always there, filling us, or else colliding with whatever obstacles are placed in its path. If it finds no inlet to us, it backs up, gathers energy, and rams forward again until it breaks through. The only ways we can avoid its insistent energy are to continuously mount barriers against it, or to allow it to be poisoned by destructive negativity and negligence, which is the last thing we want to do and the last thing we would ever think to do in a teaching such as this one. But again, it reinforces the point that what you seek is seeking you. You don't have to go hunt this stuff down. That's akin to thinking there's a supernatural. See, not only have we thought werewolves and zombies and all the rest were supernatural, we thought God was supernatural, you know. That it's like, woo, out there someplace there's this land where there's milk and honey and the harps and angels and all of this stuff, you know. And it's right here. It's right here within the self. It's there too, if there is a there. I mean, wherever we go and we leave here, we can be sure that it's there too. But we're not there yet. We're here now. We're here today. We're here in this room, or the room that you're in watching at home. This is where we want to have the cosmic conscious experience. Not in the end times when all scores are settled and hills leveled and valleys raised and all that jazz. No, it's right here. We want to have this experience. And we don't have to go hunt for it, because if it is our nature, it is seeking expression through us. And as she points out in the book, if it doesn't get that expression with it, okay, it's like this. It's like, you've heard opportunity only knocks once. Baloney. That's as dramatic a statement as I can make on film. Opportunity keeps knocking, and it will break down the door to get to you. It will do what it has to do to get to you, to find your soul purpose. It may not do that while anybody else is watching. It may not do that in the next 10 minutes or in the context of some class or a service or some setup, you know, but it will do that. It will absolutely do that. It will come and get you, and it will find you. And I used to think that was just prosaic until I spent enough time in this teaching to witness people over some years fight it off, hanging around kind of in my field of vision, fighting it off. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it. Nah, I don't hear it. Do you hear something? No, I don't hear anything knocking. And all of a sudden, there it is. And what it wants from you is the best of you. And more on that next week. This will really clear out the room. Next week is really on the terror, the sheer terror of discovering who you are. Okay? I hope you'll join us then. Let's know together now, there is one life, one power, one presence, pure spirit, everywhere, radiant, everywhere, circling around everywhere, as in beauty and in wonder, like this day, this moment that we're having together. I affirm and know for each one of us something powerful and transformative is occurring in and through us. That there is a great flowing river of ideas, inventions, discoveries, artistic expressions, possibilities, and potentials flowing right through each of us now, unrestrictedly, and we relax into it. In our meditation time, in our prayer time, we are like the otter who frolics in the sea. There's nothing to need, nothing to hide from, nothing to fear. We are whole and complete right now, right here, just as we are. I affirm and know that we've taken up our spiritual nature and incorporated it into our everyday nature of getting things done. So that with each passing moment there is greater joy, greater clarity, greater balance, greater love. for this knowing and its manifestation in form everywhere I turn. I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
We thank you for your love. We thank you for your energy. We thank you for your presence. And we also thank you for your monetary donations. What you give to this center, we value and appreciate and try to use to the best of our ability to assist you. And with that, I invite you now to say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
I was like, wait, is he going to expect me to sing that song?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, you know, it is, I will admit that singing in public is one of my fears. It's a huge one, and I will tell you because I'm grateful my mother does not watch these, because I'm about to tell you something terrible. I love my mother, I do. My mother and I have very similar voices. For a long time, unless you knew us really, both of us really well, a lot of people couldn't tell the difference in our voices. My mother is tone deaf, and somebody told her she was a soprano. I'm not tone deaf, but I was raised Catholic. So, therefore, because I hear my mother's voice in my head, I don't sing in public. So, we'll see. I might have to get over it by singing with somebody first. Somebody's going to have to come hold my hand. Okay. Oh my God, did I just commit to this? Uh-oh. All right. I just committed to singing in public, mic'd, because I sing down there all the time, so, you know, all right. My poor husband has to listen to me in the car. So, okay, I had no idea what I was going to say when I got up here, and this is what you get when I open my mouth. So, I'm going to turn you loose into, this warm fall day, as we wait for that cold front to come in. I'm headed back out to the Texas Renaissance Festival this afternoon, and it was hot yesterday. So y'all think cool thoughts at them. But, yeah, it's spooky season. I'm going to invite you into the spooky season. What is all the energy that comes with Halloween? There are a number of us running around here who Halloween is our favorite because it's the one day of the year that you see who we really are. The rest of the season we're wearing costumes. The rest of the year we're wearing costumes. And on Halloween, you get to see, we let our freak flags fly, our monster flags fly, our geek flags fly. And so if you have not done that, let your weird light shine. For two reasons. It keeps the boring people away and lets the other weirdos find you. Trust me, that weird light scares off the boring people. You won't have a boring life when you have a weird light. Yeah. Then you don't get bored by the repetition because all of us weirdos, we don't repeat things very often. So, know with me that there is one life, there is one power, there is one presence. There is one love. And each and every one of us were made in that love, by that love, of that love. And what we were made for is to share that love. So as we move through our day, our week, our month, our year, our life, open the channel up. Let's build our cathedrals to love. And build them big, and build them shiny, and build them open and wide, and invite everyone in. And let's not hide that well of love under a rug. Let's give it prominent place and invite people to take a dip. So in our big cathedrals of love, we share that experience as we know who we are, as we walk authentically in our lives. Other people see that and know that love. They feel that love. They understand that love on levels that we might never know them for. That's what it means to be a channel of love. And for this, I'm grateful. I am grateful for every cathedral to love. I am grateful to every channel of love. I'm grateful for every well of love. I am grateful for every little homey little place of love. It doesn't have to be a big cathedral, but it can be. So I'm grateful for this knowing of love. I am grateful for this place and this teaching that teaches this love. I am grateful for these people, our ministers, our musicians, our tech team, our practitioners, y'all that sit in the seats. You give us a reason to be here. Y'all online that watch us, that we hope one day to meet in person, but we're thrilled that you're here. And I'm grateful to love, because gratitude and love is the same word. And I release my word into love, into law, knowing it is done even as I speak these words. And so it is. And I'm holding to my commitment. I'm staying here.
Say it with me now. Something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my
I
body.
feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use
And
it.
I love it.
And I love it.
So